Making sure. Uh, Good evening, good evening, good evening. How is everybody doing? Here we are. It's Sunday already. How did that happen, right? My goodness gracious. Time is flying. Time is absolutely flying. All right. Let's see who is here. Prepper 5120. We got Dale from Ohio. JJ's in the house. We have Ohio Prepper, Carol Prince. Janet is here. Welcome, welcome, guys. Bobby Farron, Delbert Jones, Romans 1:24-27, Yvonne Berger, Rose B. Prepper 777. So, well, welcome everybody. Glad to have you here. I hope everybody is doing well. I hope you've had a good weekend. I've had a productive weekend, a very productive weekend. And so that was good. I was happy about that part because the weather's going to change. We got one more day of nice warm weather. Let me rephrase warm weather. Um, it's like our high for tomorrow is going to be like at midnight, which is going to be like 50. And then slowly during the day, it starts to go down. So like by noon, we're at like 41. And then it's going to get worse from there. And then we're back to crappy weather. But, what are you going to do? That's kind of how it goes. But, all right, so before we jump into anything, I just want to remind everybody that this is a very family friendly oriented channel. I would ask you to please be decent in the chat. No racism, no nastiness. If you cannot abide by those very simple, easy rules, those awesome people lit up in blue with the blue wrenches will boot you out of here. So I would ask you to be respectful, be decent. And if you can't, please do not engage with those people. We'll let the moderators deal with them, and I appreciate that as well. All right. If you want to have a comment and have it stand out for me, all cap locks, please. It makes a big, big difference. So I do appreciate it. I just see it better that way. Okay. So, all right. Oh, man. I got to tell you this. Our high will be 80, but our low is going to be 34. Yeah, it's definitely going to change. I'm drinking some tea as we're speaking. If I finish this before the end of the stream, I'll switch and I'll get a green tea. But some days a hot tea just feels better. So I just I have a tendency. It's so funny because like in the summer, I hardly ever drink hot tea. When the weather gets cold, I want more. I guess I would call it comfort stuff. So like hot tea, oatmeal, chili, stuff like that. I want that more when the weather's cold. So, but all right. So anyway, I've been working outside, getting things done. Because I figured I got nice days. And here's the biggest thing, which I think a lot of people forget. We are having a blizzard in the Twin Cities. Oh, that sucks, Alex. Not fun there at all. I know my daughter told me that yesterday they had like an ice storm up there. So it was like ice was over everything, which absolutely sucks. Guys, we got 198 people in the chat already. We only got 59 thumbs up. So if you have not shot a thumbs up yet, I'm going to ask you to do so to show support for the channel, and I do appreciate that. It really does make a big difference with the algorithms. So I do appreciate it for that reason. More interaction, the better it is for the channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, I would ask you to please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. All right. And thank you ahead of time for that. All right. So I was getting things squared away outside today. Well, yesterday I decided I'm taking an outdoor shower, because I'll heat water up in here and I'll wash up and stuff like that. But I like an outdoor shower. Always have. Okay. Sounds kind of crazy, I know, but so I get out there and sun was out yesterday, in the afternoon. And I was like, I don't care. I'll shower, when I was done. So I did that yesterday. It was cool, but water was not warm. So now today I get done with everything that I'm doing. I'm sweating and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take an outdoor shower again today. It's probably going to be the last one I'm going to get. Yeah, it's very invigorating, very invigorating. Um, so I'm like, probably the last one I'm going to get for a while. So, but now it was overcast and cloudy by the time I went to wash up. Man, I'm going to tell you what, that was brisk. That was brisk. But I'll tell you what, again, invigorating, really refreshing. It felt awesome. But yeah, it was, but it felt just, it was fantastic. It really, really was, even though it was very, very cold. They probably heard me across a holler because I was like, whoa. Yeah, a little chilly. But like I said, again, it felt really good, especially like when you're sweating, and you just, and then if you take that cold shower, man, it's just like snap. But yeah, and cold water is good for your circulation. Yes, it is. So, but anyway, but yeah, I don't think I'll be tomorrow. Like I said, the temperatures are going to be plummeting, so I do not believe I'll be showering outside tomorrow at all. So, but but no, you'll see. I got the 2 videos for tomorrow already made that I did for today, so you'll see what I got finished up. So I was pretty happy about it, to be honest with you. But yeah, it like I said, just getting things squared away. It was up to 80 here today and already down to 30 now and still dropping. Wow. I know. Well, I knew that there's like that next front's coming through. So I knew that that was going to be happening. So my daughter's going to nursing school. Nurses can work a 12-hour shift and work 3 days per week. That's 36 hours, includes all benefits. Nothing wrong with that, but I will tell you what, Auburn Prepper, 12-hour shift in nursing is no joke because you are on your feet that whole time. You're not really getting a ton of breaks. You're eating on the fly a lot. Hell, stop. You're eating on the fly a lot because you really just don't have time to sit down and take a half an hour lunch. It just doesn't generally happen. How much weight do you think you gained during the winter months? It really depends on how active I am, JJ, to be honest with you. Again, if you're sitting around and you're doing nothing and then just eating, you're going to put weight on. You're going to put weight on. So, I mean, that's just, like I had gotten on a scale the other day, and then before I went out today to go out and do stuff, I got on the scale again, and I was actually down weight, but I was really active yesterday, and I was really active again today. So it's that makes a difference. It really, really does. So, my advice to anybody in the wintertime, if you are trying to, just like even going to a mall and walking inside a mall, you're doing something. Because again, if it's miserable and it's crappy outside and the weather sucks, you just really don't want to be out in the weather. I get it because I don't, So, but anyway, all right. So I wanted to get into this, guys. So the title's kind of misleading because we're going to go in 2 directions with the title. A lot of sickness happening right now, so we're going to be getting into that as well. But the other thing, when I said people are sick, I don't know if you saw this in the news. Well, there's a couple things we're going to, like I said, a couple different ways we're going to go with this. But this one, I was like, what's wrong with people? So as you guys know, Nicki Minaj, maybe you don't know, Nicki Minaj went and spoke at Turning Point, right? And of course, the liberals' heads exploded, and how dare she go and speak at Turning Point, and blah, 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 and all this type of stuff, right? See, and here's my thing with that, okay? Everybody's got the right to believe whatever they want, even if I think they're wrong, right? But who am I to attack them because their viewpoint is different than mine? But apparently, if you are on the left, that's perfectly fine to attack somebody that has a different view from you. That's what I've seen over and over and over and over again. Okay. But I don't know if you guys saw this one. There was a petition circulated that got 35,000 signatures to have Nicki Minaj deported. And I'm just like, people are sick. They're really, truly twisted and sick now. And it's just like, how could you do that? I mean, okay, you don't agree with the fact that she went. Fine. You don't have to like it. That's the beauty of the United States of America, right? You can agree to disagree, but that's not how it works anymore. But she speaks the truth. Of course she does. It is absolutely amazing to me. So here's the other thing. And again, it just goes to show you where our society is today, where the legacy news media is today, right? So Mike Shirley went and did that independent investigative reporting in Minnesota. And basically, these daycare centers, these medical centers, they're all fronts to scam money. And the U.S. government is giving millions of dollars to each one of these places. Like the one daycare center said it had 111 kids, and they got like $2.8 million this year. They had gotten $2.4 million last year, and there's nobody there. There's no kids there, okay? Nick Shirley, I'm sorry. Nick Shirley, that's right. But here's the thing that I find fascinating, right? So Nick Shirley does this, and that should be headline news all over the place, but it's not. New York Post, New York Times, nothing, crickets, all done by design, folks, because we can't upset the apple cart, right? It's just like, I'm sorry, but corruption is corruption is corruption. You got to call it out when you see it, not just if it's the other side, Yeah, controlled media, exactly. Only thing. Here's something else that I saw, and this one was fascinating to me. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys the same questions that this professor. He had a class, and this is how stuff should be taught. It should be critical thinking being taught, right? So he said on this board, he said 936 people. So I'm going to ask you guys this question too. 936 people the year before had been killed by the police. So the first question would be, how many of those people do you think were black? So we're gonna do this and I saw this and I was actually fascinated by this because I didn't know what the answers were either. But I did, the one part I did know, but and I'll explain that when we get to that point. So how many of those 936 people that were killed by the police do you think were black? We're going to ask that question first, okay? Guys, we'll throw your answers in. Elvant says 90%. Tess says 30. Kim says 33%. Lori says 600. 50%, 85%, 800, 150, 80%, 700, 40%, 39%. Okay, so thank you for those percentages. Of those 936 people that were shot, 520 of them were white. Okay, so number one. Blacks, 233%, or 233, something like that, were blacks. Okay, so more white people were shot by the police than black people were shot by the police. Now, of those people that were killed, okay, so we're going to go of those people that were killed by the police, how many of them do you think? 900. We had 936. How many of them do you think had a gun? So how many do you think had a gun? Because this was fascinating to me to see this whole thing. So like some of your answers are ready because as what you're seeing on the news, you would think, oh my God, all these black people are being killed all the time by police, right? So of those 936 people that were killed by the police, 500 and something of them had a gun. Okay, 500 and something of them had a gun. And then it was like 100 and something had no, it was 200 and something had a knife. So the professor said, and this was the point he was making. Okay, this was the point he was making. If you were an unarmed black person, your chances of being killed by the police, right, in a traffic stop or whatever, now you're an unarmed black person, your chances of being killed by the police are 0.6%. 0.6%. Now, does that sound like a genocide to you? That Black Lives Matter and, we got to protect all the black community from these horrible police? 0.6% of unarmed black people that were killed by the police, 0.6% was your chances being unarmed, being black, and being pulled over. It's amazing. It's amazing to me that that percentage was that small. And probably you guys are shocked as well. Okay. Probably points. Oh my God. More white people were killed by the police than any other race, folks. Why? Why do you say, Ed, why would so many more white people be killed by the police? Because we make up 60% of the population. Black people make up 14% or 15%, I think it is now, of the population. So it is amazing when, and again, these people, like when they were asking, who do you think, like, he asked a black woman in the crowd, and she had said, like, 600 were black, and then she said 200 would be Hispanic. And the thing was, of course, statistically, there's obviously a lot more white people out there. So the chances are much, much greater if you're white. But again, of those 900, over 500 had a gun and over 200 had a knife. So, numbers don't lie, people do. Exactly. But I just thought that was amazing. That kind of debunks a lot of the crap that we're seeing. So here's something that I find interesting as well. And this is, again, I want to hammer on the legacy news media because they have an agenda. If you don't know that there's an agenda by now, then I don't even know what to tell you. I really don't. Guys, we're at 298 in the chat. We got 132 thumbs up. So again, real quick, I'm going to ask if you have not shot a thumbs up yet, please do so to show support for the channel. Again, I do appreciate it. It really does make a huge difference with the algorithm. So the more interaction, the better for the channel. Again, also, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell icon to get all notifications as well. So the next point that I wanted to make was, if something, and I'm going to make a point on this because this is statistically how things are, okay? So we're going to talk about this part first. So black guy goes into a white community, and tell me I'm wrong on this. Please tell me I'm wrong on this. Black guy goes into a white community and gets his butt kicked, right? You're going to have every organization is going to be up in arms. It's a hate crime. They beat him up because he's black. They're going to go bananas. It's going to be worldwide on the press. It's, everywhere in the United States. It's going to be all over the place. And there's another victimized poor black person in a white neighborhood and he got his butt kicked, right? That's what you're going to see. If a white person goes into a black neighborhood and gets his butt kicked, again, because he's white in a black neighborhood, you know what the cops are going to say to him, folks? You know what the cops are going to say? It's not going to be all over front page news, number one. They're going to be like, what was he doing there? What was he doing there? right? So, you got to look at the oxymoron of the situation. Now, both of those parties could have been completely innocent going into these neighborhoods. But again, do you take the chance? I'm going to tell you what, lived in the city for years when I was younger. When I was in my 20s, I lived in the city for years, years and years and years. I worked as a nurse in some pretty rough neighborhoods, Generally, I'm in uniform. People really didn't bother me unless they were trying to sell me drugs, and that happened as well. I could tell you a story about that one. I'll tell you that real quick. So my sister lived in a really rough section of Rochester. Some of you may recognize the name Lime Street. If you're from the Rochester area, Rochester, New York, Lime Street. That's ghetto, folks. Not a good area to be in. All right. So I had gone over to my sister's, and Jeannie at the time, now Jeannie's in her 40s now. Jeannie was little, maybe 10, maybe. I didn't even remember how old exactly she was, but let's say she 8, 9, or 10 in that range. So Jeannie's at her mom. So I had stopped over. I was, I think at that point, I don't know if I was a nurse yet or if I was still a CNA, right? But I had my white scrubs on. I might have been a nurse at that point already. I don't remember. But so I got my white scrubs on. I got out of work. I stop over to see my sister. Jeannie says to me, "Uncle Eddie, will you take me to the store and get me a pop or whatever?" And I said, "Sure, honey, let's go." So we walked down Lime Street, down to the corner store. And 3 times on the way down to the corner store, hey, doctor, man, you need anything?" And I said, "No, brother, I'm good. Thank you very much." I'm walking a child to the store and I'm being offered drugs. So, yeah. But that happens. You're in that neighborhood, that happens. That happens. But the news media has an agenda. There was a story, I don't know if you guys remember, where a mentally retarded guy had been kidnapped by 4 black people, and they tortured him, made him eat his own feces. They beat him up. They did all kinds of stuff. Okay. Like 3 days. They did finally let him go. Now, was that all over the place? Was that frontline news? And, this is a race crime and a hate crime and blah, blah, blah. No, they tried to push it under the rug. They tried to make it like disappear, like it never happened. You know what I mean? The common denominator is drugs. There's always going to be drugs, and all kinds of people are on drugs. And no matter where you go in the country, you are going to have access to drugs if that's what you want. So, and it doesn't matter what color you are, because the drugs don't care what color you are. So, and the people that are selling you the drugs, they don't care who's doing them. They're just selling them. So, but then you have, was it Tanya Brown, I think was her name? Who remembers this one? And this is going back a ways, folks, because this is when I think Al Sharpton was still fat. So I think it was like Tawny Brown, said she was kidnapped by white people, and that she was sexually assaulted, and she was they smeared feces on her and all this type of stuff. It was all over the news. Al Sharpton was front and center because he's one of the biggest race baiters that's out there, right? Turns out that the whole thing was a hoax. She made the whole thing up. And well, once you get caught up in that sensationalism and the media's doing all, no, stop. You're fine. But again, when it's constantly, and so my point is this, okay? When it's constantly put in your face, constantly by the news media, people will start believing what they're seeing because, the news media is saying this. So stories are steered a certain way on purpose because they don't, it's like a lot of these shootings, okay? A lot of these shootings that have happened, a lot of these mass shootings, 99% of them are, 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 99 what's the first thing that they try to say? It was a white male, he was mega, right? That's the first thing that they're trying to push. That's the first narrative that they're trying to push, okay? But when you find out, right, that the shooter was transgender, Jesse Smollett, same thing. Yes, same thing. Jesse Smollett did the same thing. Absolutely. And it's all about attention and pay attention to me. I'm a victim. And oh, these evil white men. I'm so sick and tired. I'm going to tell you what, I will never apologize for being white. I'm not ashamed of anything. You know, here's a good one. I was thinking about this the other day. So you got a lot of these folks out there. So we're going to jump on a little band or soapbox for a second here, folks. So, oh, the evil white man captured us all, brought us over here, and made us slaves, right? We want reparations. Everybody's heard it by now, right? Some people think, well, they deserve reparations. Well, here's the thing. If you were held as a slave, then yes, you should be compensated. But there hasn't been slaves in this country for a long, long time. Not a long time, no slaves in this country. And here's the misconception. The Civil War was not fought over slaves. It wasn't fought over slaves. That was a byproduct of that. Okay, but that's a whole different subject, and you'd have to do your own research and study. But anyway, my thing is this. Okay, you want reparations because you came from slaves? Go back to Africa, right? A lot of those kingdoms, they captured their enemies, sold them into slavery. So it was black men capturing other black men, because that's all that was there. It was Africa at the time, right? Sold them into slavery to the slave traders, who a lot of the slave traders were what? Let's think about this for a second. A lot of the slave traders were Middle Eastern, right? So if you want reparations, go back to Africa, to the country that you originated from through your DNA, and have that government pay you reparations, because it was somebody from that country that sold your ancestors way, way back into slavery. Slavery still continues to this day. To this day, there is still slavery. So, again, that whole victimized mentality, I have an issue with that. No matter what it is. But white people did not invent slavery, folks. Slavery's been around a whole lot longer and goes way, way, way back. So, let's remember that. Okay. And if you want to go back and let's talk about Egypt and how is Egypt portrayed, or not, well, Moses and all that, how's that all portrayed, right? The Egyptians enslaved the Israelis, and the poor Israelis were the slaves, and Moses rescued the slaves, and they left and went to go to the promised land, and yada, yada, yada. The reality is this, okay? Most likely, they were all dark-skinned people. The Egyptians, the Jews, they were all a darker skinned people back in that time, so something to think about. The whole thing that Jesus is portrayed as a white man. Well, if he was born in the Middle East, folks, I hate to break it to you, he probably was not white. So that's just little enlightenment for you. Just, something for you to chew on a little bit. Explain to me, otherwise, how would this white man, it's craziness, but that is what it is. So, but anyhow, so the victim mindset is a very dangerous thing. And when you have the media constantly tell you you're a victim, you're oppressed, you're downtrodden upon, instead of saying, hey, anybody, what do I say all the time, right? What do I say all the time with my whole STD thing, right? Step thing and day. Anybody can change their circumstances if they want to, if they decide to change. I was watching a video the other day, and it was a woman, white woman, and she said, yeah, I was alcoholic. and did ketamine. She goes, every day for 3 years straight. She goes, and it was bad. She goes, it was bad. A relative, she said, was dying, and she had gone to the relative's house, and the relative was like, her and there was other people, take whatever you want. I'm dying, take whatever you want, right? Yeah, self equals the worst enemy. Exactly, Libby. Exactly. Or Lily Blade, sorry. Um, and she said that she found 7 bottles of painkillers. And she goes, and I was hiding them and stuffing them everywhere. And she goes, and that's one of the things later on when she got sober and got clean that she had a lot of guilt over. That she was like, she felt at that time like she won the lottery because she found those painkillers. I'll tell you what, painkillers have destroyed a lot of families, folks, a lot of families. So crazy stuff there. But again, anybody can change their circumstances if they want to, if they put in the effort, if they put in the work. And it's not easy. See, there's the other thing. And the number one, it's you. Here's the number one thing. It has to be what you want. It's what you want, not what anybody else says you need to do, not what anybody else says you should do this or you should do that or you should do the other thing. It's got to be what you want. I've told this story 100 times, guys. I turned my life around at 27. Okay, at 27, I tell people I pulled my head out of my behind. I took a good hard look at myself, and I did not like what I saw. I didn't like what I saw, and I decided at that point I'm doing something about this. I'm changing my circumstances. I'm changing my life, and that's when I set a date. And I've told the story. I had a guy that I knew that was in North Carolina. I asked him, "Hey, I want to come down and move to North Carolina. Can I stay with you until I get on my feet and get going?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And I think I stayed with him for maybe 6 weeks, something like that, because it was just, But I appreciated the fact that he let me come down there. So I set a date, 6 weeks, had a big blowout going away party. I had an 8 ball of Coke. Whatever weed you wanted to smoke was there, the whole 9 yards. Had this big party. The next morning, everybody's gone. It's just me. I had Coke left over. I had weed left over. And I took it and I flushed it down the toilet. I packed up my car. I got in my car and I headed south. And I got to North Carolina. And when I got to North Carolina and somebody said, "Hey, Ed, you want to get high?" I went, "No, man, I don't do it." And they went, "Oh, okay." I couldn't do that being home. Couldn't do it being home. All right. Because everybody knew I partied. Everybody knew I partied. But when I went and changed my circumstances and started in a new place and new people, they didn't know Ed that did this and Ed that did that and Ed that was involved with this or that or the other thing. They just took me at face value and went, "Okay, yeah, cool, no problem." So it's all about choices. And it, again, ultimately comes down to what you want. So you can make excuses and play the victim. Everybody can do that. That's easy. Oh, mommy didn't hold me enough when I was a baby, whatever the case may be. But ultimately, folks, each one of you out there watching, myself included here in this, we are the captains of our own ship. We're the captains of our own destiny. When did I go to nursing school? I went to nursing school 94. 94. Started in January, finished in December. Took my boards and got my license in, was it 94? Yeah, I think so. Because then in 95, I think, is when I got my license, if I'm correct. So you're asking something that was, 30 plus years ago. Yeah, but I think it was 94, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because my grandfather died in 92. And then I went back to school in 94. So he never saw me actually make it and, make good, if you will. But anyway, again, it always comes down to choices that we make at the end of the day. I used to do drugs when I was young. A lot of people did, Sonia. I mean, you're not alone. It's just, it's easy. It's easy, realistically. I mean, it's not hard, that's for sure. But again, if we want to make a change, not because the court said we have to, but because we want to, that's when it happens. Some people, never happens. Um, I had a friend of mine had a son that had issues, drugs, heroin, the whole 9 yards. And he was like, dude, he goes, I'm like losing my mind. Da, da, da. And I sat down with him and we talked a lot. And I said, dude, you got to 30. You got to 30. I said, if he has not pulled his head out of his behind by the time he's 30, he probably is not going to. And that's what happens, folks. I'm just being 100% honest. If they haven't done it by the time they're 30, they generally are not going to do it. Now, there's exceptions, obviously, to that rule. But, and the problem with him was he was enabling his son. So he knew his son was on drugs. He knew his son had problems. And he was still feeding him cash, the whole 9 yards. Grandma was feeding him cash. So, and they lie like crazy. And he's actually not a bad kid. I watched this kid grow up. I knew who he was. And, but now, I mean, he's been in and out of jail, and now he's in his 40s, and he's a mess. It's unfortunate. Now, I'll tell you another story, okay? Family that I worked for, okay? Johnny, the grandson, and I love this kid. Still to this day, I love this kid, okay? So, Johnny had a knee injury, and he ended up having to have surgery on that knee, and they gave him narcotics, and he got addicted to those narcotics. Made a tremendous amount of bad choices, and I won't go into all the details of it. Ended up getting arrested, was in jail, felony charge, and his family let him sit in jail because they were like, he's got to learn. He's got to learn. And he came out of that experience and he made changes. Now, here's the best part of the story with Johnny. And again, this is kind of showing you what can happen. Johnny came out of that situation realizing this is not where I want to be. This is not what I want to do. So what he ended up doing, he got himself straightened out, got off the drugs. He ended up going back to law school, and he's a lawyer now. This kid is a lawyer now, done very, very well for himself. And I'm going to tell you what, like I said, again, another one, I watched this kid grow up, watched him go through those hard times, come out the other side and be successful in life. And I will tell you what, I'm so proud of this kid. He's done great, and it's a fantastic story that shows that you can hit that bottom, and then at that point you got to make that decision of what you want to do. And he, like I said, he turned his life around, and he's been fantastic ever since. But again, these are things that happen. But I know we got completely off the rails from where we started this whole live stream. But I think it makes a good point. A lot of things are pushed, again, by the media. They kept telling us, right, there's no problem. It's like with the drugs, with the pills. There's no problem. There's no problem. They're not addictive. It's okay. Big pharma, right? Oh, it's fine. They're not addictive. And look what it did to how many people. Johnny was the grandson of the gentleman that I took care of for 17 years. So that's how I knew Johnny. So that's, who's Johnny? But yeah, so like I watched this kid grow up. So, but anyway, it's just the media again is culpable in so many things, and you got to realize we are being fed, right? Remember, this is important too. We are being fed what they want us to think, what they want us to know. We're never going to get the full picture. We're never going to get the full truth, right? Ever. So, yeah, Kim is saying lots of folks are getting flu around the world due to weather spikes. So let's talk about that a little bit, all right? Let's talk about all this flu that's going around. Now, here's an interesting thought, right? So you've had all these people that went and got this, right? messed up their immune systems. Now their immune systems are compromised, I guess is the nicest way to say it. Um, and so you've seen an increase, huge increase in cancers, right? A lot of people that did this, spike in cancers, spike in heart issues. You had top line athletes dropping on the field in their 20s with a heart attack. And some of them didn't make it, right? And that was, when everybody was forced, right? Right? Think about this. A lot of autoimmune problems, a lot of people having issues. So it is that time of year. It is that time of year. Flu season is here, right? And I get that. All the kids are, get to go to school and they're all around all the other little kids and everybody gets sick and they bring it home and they give it to their parents. It happens. It happens. But, I wonder, stress plays a part in health, of course. If you're higher stressed, you're more susceptible to getting sick. So that's part of it. Like I said, the fluctuation of the temperatures definitely makes a difference as well. And again, it is that time of year, but also, could there be a correlation with the number of people being sick longer because of something that they have done, right? Just something to think about. Like I said, I like asking questions. That's what I like. So 2 heart attacks in 2 days in 22. Now she catches everything and has a worse time than she did before. Lady Kick says, yeah, that's happened quite a bit. So, yeah, that's what I was talking about, Hot Rod Prepper. That's a possibility. So, you never know. Yep, Lamb's Light. And you'll never hear that. You'll never hear those stories on the mainstream news media. You never hear those stories on that, ever. You never hear it, right? But a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of people, and the thing is, you can't hide the cancer numbers, folks. You can't hide those numbers. Look it up. Tell me I'm wrong. Come back, tell me I'm wrong. There has been, since this, a notable spike in cancers in this country. Now, is there a correlation? I don't know. Not saying there is, not saying that there's not, but I find it interesting. I do find that interesting. So, it's not good. Not good. My arthritis was horrendous post arm ticket. Took me months to recover. Yeah. I mean, like I said, and I get why people did it. And like I said, I don't have no judgment on anybody that did anything. I'm not, I just, I got to be careful how I say things. I will just say this. The number of medical professionals that said no, right? That should tell you something. I'll just put it like that. Oh, Alex, I think they already have it. I think they've had it for a long time, but there's more money in the treatment than there is in the cure. That's big business. That's a huge, huge business. That's a whole nother video, but I'd have to be real super careful on talking about that. And that's another sad thing, that you're not able to have an opinion, speak on a subject, talk on a subject, question certain things. Because the minute that you do, what's that? Must have skin tear, old age. Oh, it is that time. Okay, we're close to it. All right, guys, we're at 344 in the chat. We got 217 on the thumbs up. So if you have not shot a thumbs up yet, I'm going to ask you to please do so to show support for the channel. Again, I do appreciate it. It really does make a huge, huge difference with the algorithms. So the more interaction, the better for the channel. So I thank you for that reason as well. Again, if you are not subscribed to the channel, Please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. And I thank you ahead of time for that. So let's go ahead and do egg count. So how many eggs today? Yes or no for Miss Betty White? And how many of the 3 Easter eggers laid today? So I'll give you guys a moment to get your guesses, and we will go from there. So I'll give you guys a moment. And actually, this is just about done. So I'm going to grab green tea. I'll be right back. All right. All right, guys. If you had the same exact guess as Dale from Ohio, we had 5 eggs today. No for Miss Betty White, and 1 Easter egg laid today. So I was happy to get 5. I'm not complaining. I'm like, okay, 5 is better than 0. May I help you? Are you a naughty girl or are you a good girl? You're actually being pretty good tonight. You're not being a squirrel bag. Do I get some love? Hey, here. Thank you, baby. Good girl. So congratulations to Dale from Ohio. You've won absolutely nothing, but you are happy about it. So there we go. Is that 2 in a row for Dale? Didn't he win the other day as well? Didn't he win Friday? I think that's 2 in a row. Yep, 2 in a row. Yeah, that's what I thought. So Wednesday, I will be live streaming Wednesday, Christmas, New Year's Eve. So I will be on at 8 o'clock, just getting you guys a heads up that I will be on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. I will be on live Wednesday also at 6 o'clock for my hardcore members. And I will be doing that then. So if you would like to join us in being a hardcore member, go to my main page here on YouTube, hit that join button, become a hardcore member, and you can be part of that private live stream. So just putting that out there for you guys if you are interested. You don't have to be. I still live stream 3 days a week for everybody else. So, but that one's kind of more personal. So we have fun there. But yeah, if he gets 3 in a row, it's called a turkey. 3 strikes in a row. That's right. That's too funny. So, but no, it's funny. It's like with having this break in the weather, the absolute best part for me, okay? Because what'll happen is when the spring comes, right? Like right now, we're we're in winter. When the spring comes and the weather breaks, and you're like, yes, I want to get outside. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do the other thing. Now you're dealing with bugs, right? We get them bad down here. You guys see me a lot of times with that head net on, trying to get stuff done outside because the bugs are so bad. Okay. Oh, they did get. They're talking about getting the peace deal done. I hope they get it done in Ukraine, in Russia. I hope they get it done. I hope they get that squared away and they stop that. But so anyway, the best thing about the last couple days when I've been out here working, absolutely no bugs at all. It has been amazing to be outside. Will you celebrate New Year's? Not really. It's just another year. Any resolutions? I really don't set resolutions anymore. I did when I was younger, but I have goals. I don't do resolutions. I have goals. I have, like, when we get into next year, when we get together as a group in January, we're going to set our goals for the year of what we want to get accomplished here at, the homestead. So, and every goal that we're going to set is a realistic goal that we can reach and that we can get done. We made really, really good progress this year. Did we get everything done we wanted to get done? No, we did not. But as long as we continue to strive towards those goals and work towards them, they will happen. It's just like with getting everybody's wood stove in, getting everybody's rain catchment set up. Are all those things done? No, but they're getting there. A lot of people have them done, you know, already now, so they're checked off the list. Like Johnson would be a great example. Roy is another example. Their rain catchments are set up. Their wood stoves are in, you know. So those are things that are done. Mark's got his rain catchment set up. His, you know, gutters are in. Jamie and Dawn, rain catchment set up. Their wood stove is in. That's what I meant to say with Mark. His wood stove is in too. So I mean, you know, and then other people, like I said, Kim's got her rain catchment set. Sandy's got her rain catchment set, and you know, so there's definitely, you know, progress being made in that direction. And but you know, set up for disappointment resolutions. Yeah, like I said, I don't like the resolutions. I like goals. This is what I want to get done. This is what I want to get accomplished. And we have things here that we want to get done and we want to get accomplished this year. And I think realistically, what we have kind of in the thought process and conversations that I've already had, I think it's a really realistic expectation to say that we can get these things done this coming year. And again, each month, guys, that we get is a bonus, the way I look at it, because it gets us one step closer to getting those goals accomplished, getting those things done. And that's important. That's important. But, you know, but it, like I said, we're going to get there. That's my mindset. My mindset is I don't give that information out, Lamb's Light, but I do appreciate the question. She's asking how many people are in the group. I don't share that information. Um, but, you know, like I said, it's just, it's a progression with everything, you know, putting yourself, again, when any updates on when you'll be working on the bunker again. Thank you for asking that, DJ. I do want to get back to the bunker, but unfortunately, like I said, we had other things that were priorities that we really needed to work on, that we shouldn't be distracting ourselves from these different things to work on that. I do want to get back to that though. There's a couple of things that we have to do before we can actually progress further with what we're doing with the bunker. But I do want the bunker, you know, back working, getting that done and stuff like that. So, no, that's fine, Lamb's Light. No worries. No, it's, you know, it's a legitimate question. Legitimate question. Can I use a rain catchment system for drinking water from my mobile home roof and not be toxic from the roof sealant? Um, well, like I said again, Mimi, I would filter everything that you're going to run through to drink anyway. So that would be my. If you're running everything through a filter, a lot of the contaminants should be gone. You know. So, but. But like I said, each month that we get, folks, is a bonus. As long as we just keep banging away, getting things squared away, getting things done, I think that that's a great thing, you know. And again, it's a game. The whole thing's a game. Okay, so for me personally, like I told you guys before, I like to win. Whatever game I'm playing, I want to win. How far along are we with the shower rooms? We'll be working on them again, January, February, March. That'll be working on the shower room, getting that more squared away. That'll be part of it. Also, you know, we still need to insulate underneath the pavilion and stuff like that too. So, but you know, that's kind of where we're at with that. But you'll be seeing the progress. We did not get together this month of December because of weather, and a lot of people had other obligations, you know, with the holidays and everything like that. So we ended up not getting together for December, and that's okay. I mean, that's going to happen. Last year we didn't get together in January because of the weather. It was really bad, you know. And again, we can't predict what it's going to be. in a couple weeks. So we get, we have a scheduled date that we want to get together. But if there's blizzards all over and we're buried down here, it doesn't make much sense, So we kind of just do what we have to do. That's Hella eating Lamb's Light. She's eating dog food. So that's what you're hearing. Well, we want to focus on getting the greenhouse in first, Alex. So talking about a spring garden. I'd like to get potatoes in the ground in the old garden spot. I think that would be a really good spot to put potatoes in this year. And I just would like in that area, I would just like to put in potatoes in that area. And because potatoes are such a great power food, you could eat potatoes and survive eating nothing else. Now, would you get tired of potatoes? Yes, you would. But if you have them, then you got them. So that's something to think about. If they're in the ground and SHTF happens, you got that, and you can save some of them and grow more. And if you have a greenhouse, which we hopefully will have the greenhouse completed this year, because it's not going to be a little bitty greenhouse, guys. It's going to be a pretty good sized greenhouse. That's the goal. Do you want to go out? Do you want to go out? Hold on, guys. Go on. Oh, yeah, it's that time. It's going to be both. It's going to be partially below ground, so that the reason that we want to do that is because it's going to extend your growing season even more. Because once you get under the frost line, it's going to be a constant temperature. The cats are Bonnie's right here and Clyde is outside, so Bonnie's chilling out sleeping. But yeah, it'll be a pretty cool greenhouse once we get it all said and done, I think. But once the pavilion's done, and it doesn't have to be completely finished, but if we get underneath insulated, it's going to be glass roof probably, or not, maybe not glass, but something that's going to reflect sunlight, because glass can be broken and that would be bad. Dogs are doing good, Alex. Yep, they're doing real good. But excuse me. But yeah, we have like a plexiglass, right? I want something that's going to be able to stand up to the strong winds, and if branches or whatever is getting blown around and it hits them, that they're not just going to shatter. Yeah, high tunnel. Yep, exactly. So, but that's kind of the game plan with that. So we want to have a decent size underground portion, the majority being under. So like you would walk down, and then there'll be like a lower part that's more open, and then you would still have areas here where you could grow on both sides during the regular season, and then down below, it's going to be neat. What we got planned is going to be pretty neat. But like I said, when there's Village Homestead. Finally, my chats are going through what they weren't going through. But once the pavilion squared away, once the shower room squared away, the next two projects are greenhouse and root cellar. Now, the game plan right now, just to give you guys a heads up so you can kind of look at this ahead of time, in April, we want to have the excavator guy come in with that huge, big excavator that he's got, open up the area for the greenhouse, and open up the area that we plan on putting the root cellar in. Okay. And then we will go from there. So, but yeah, it's just, like I said, there's a lot that we have planned to do. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. As long as the world don't go to complete garbage beforehand. And like I said, each month that goes by, we are getting stronger. We are getting in a better position. Heather's doing fantastic. Michigan Lifestyle, thank you for asking. Eddie's good as well. So, but yeah, everybody up north is fine. No issues up there whatsoever, which is always a good thing as well. So, mom's kicking along. This next year, she'll be 83. So, yep. She's the last man standing on my mom's side. Her and cousin Betty. Those are the last two. So, but anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you with my favorite saying. Okay. And we had 260 on the thumbs up today, which is actually pretty cool. Really cool. Um, STD, step, thing, and day. If you set realistic goals that you can reach, and then you work methodically to make them happen, they will happen. They may not happen in the time frame that you want them to happen, but if you keep striving towards it, it will happen. So, one step at a time, one thing at a time, and one day at a time. STD. Easy way to remember it because everybody thinks they know what STD stands for, but we really do, right? Again, the only person that can hold you back in life is you. That's it. Nobody else. Don't listen to negative people that tell you what you can't accomplish. Work towards your goals, make them happen. Like I said, our major goals for this next year, right? Finish the pavilion, finish the shower room, get the greenhouse in, and get the root cellar in. Will we have that done by the end of the year? I don't know if we'll have it completely done, but I will tell you this, there will be substantial progress on all fronts. So, that's what I'm going to promise you. We will be having a huge effort to get those things done. There's always other things. We're going to have to put more gravel in the driveway this year. That happens every year. That doesn't change. Okay. So, yeah, we'll work methodically. Exactly. We'll get it done. And again, do I wish a lot of things would happen faster? Absolutely, yes, I do. But I also have to realize we're making progress and we're getting there. And we've come such a long, long way in a very short time, realistically. May will start year 4 of having a group down here. So you look at what we accomplished in 3 years down here as a group, with people coming in, with people leaving the group. With some of the people have been here from the very beginning, others have come in afterwards. So we've made substantial progress. So anyway, guys, please, please, please be safe. Keep prepping. Take care of your business. Do what you got to do. I will see you guys New Year's Eve for the live stream at 8 o'clock. My hardcore members, again, 6 o'clock on New Year's Eve. I'll see you guys then. Please be safe. Have a great one, and I will talk to you all later. Prepper Nurse 1 out for now.